there's this WCA article, and we're not going to read the whole thing, but it was published yesterday by Scott Field, who I've interviewed, and that was a good interview. He says the setup is every week this summer, typically the slow season for local churches. I hear from newly activated United Methodist laity. Many are just becoming aware of the major changes authorized by the recent United Methodist General Conference. They are finding themselves now in a denomination boldly moving forward on an unquestionably progressive trajectory that traditionalist Orthodox evangelical Wesleyan folks find unacceptable. So then he explains what's going on and how it is that they are getting activated and coming to understand for the first time what's going on. So the meat of the article is what to do. What can we do now? So if you watched my interview with him, it's a couple months ago now, we were concerned about this question. And so he's had a lot of time to focus more on what laity and unhappy clergy in the United Methodist Church can do. What options do they have? Because the General Conference closed the door on disaffiliations, right? So he says the most common question raised from those in touch with the WCA is, what's our options? Since there is no one-size-fits-all recommendation, and since most of the people in touch with us are making contact on behalf of a congregation or a group of congregations, the first step is to discover appropriate resources that answer the questions being asked in the local congregations. Our congregational renewal coordinator, Reverend Jane Dillard, has, along with her team, produced a series of video presentations by expert consultants and an extensive list of resources available to help individuals, both laity and clergy, get the information they need. Click here, that's not a link, to connect with the variety of resources. Okay, that's got to be it right there. So let's go. I haven't checked this out yet. Let's check out where that takes us. It's just an article right now. View resources. Okay, and then it has articles. Oh, and a YouTube video. "10 Reasons to Consider the Global Methodist Church." Okay, that's a resource. GMC, Who We Are, FAQ. See, I thought that they provided some other stuff. Well, they provided different. Okay, so they have different speakers and different resources associated with each of those speakers. Okay. He spoke twice, well, 2 sessions. Finding Identity in Christ, a Traumatic Reality, Clarification through Identification. Okay. So they've tried through these different thinkers to equip local churches in different ways. Oh, I did an interview with Gary Ingram. He's a nice guy. I like him. Okay, so, there are extensive resources here if you're interested in looking at the different minds that they've consulted for the good of local churches. Man, this is the NCLL guy. He's been influential. Oh, and John Bailey, he works with him. Oh, we know that guy, don't we? Okay, so consult those resources at your leisure. A second step is making contact so we can speak directly about concerns and sort through some options. In some areas, United Methodist annual conferences are extending an option for local church discernment and, if chosen, departure. In other areas where litigation has been ongoing, some recent court rulings are allowing suits against annual conferences to go forward and may end up providing relief to congregations whose pathway of exit has been obstructed by bishops or annual conference officials. Additionally, some laity are discovering that there is a global Methodist congregation not far away geographically. They are leaving their current church to become part of a congregation more in line with the priorities and commitments. You can check out whether a GMC congregation is near you through the GMC Church Finder, or just click here. So if people haven't seen this, this is really a decent resource. If you scroll down, well, wait. Oh, it's only got the conference Find a Church thing here. You have to figure out what conference you're in first. I could have sworn they had one for the whole connection, though. The whole, at least the whole country. So, excuse me. All right. And finally, in many places, groups of laity as well as clergy are leaving the UMC behind and starting a new Global Methodist congregation. You can find excellent video presentations in our consultancy series on planting a new church. I think this is the same series they were talking about a second ago. Yes, the same link. Okay. Here we are. Americans will recall that sometimes oppressive authorities must be resisted, and if necessary, the difficult path to independence must be chosen. American history is testimony to the ongoing pursuit of liberty. On a much smaller scale and with much more limited scope, the same passion fuels laity and clergy who have come to a new and unwelcome realization. Theological progressives seem also to become oppressive toward any and all that are not aligned with their political priorities. For the time being, traditionalist, Orthodox, Evangelical, Wesleyan, Methodist may be tolerated, but it is clear that in the longer term, traditionalists are not and will not be welcome. Recently, as we celebrated Independence Day in America, an increasing number of laity are reflecting on how they can embark on their own pathways to liberty for themselves and their local churches. So, if I were to digest what he said in that article, the main thing that you and your church need to do if you're trapped is consult these different resources that they have available, some of them aimed at congregational vitality, but some of them also aimed at figuring out what the Global Methodist Church is about and different means of joining them. So the WCA is essentially acting as a midwife to get folks out of the United Methodist Church and into the Global Methodist Church as feasibly as possible. Some United Methodist annual conferences are still allowing for disaffiliations through paragraph 2549, but a lot of others are just saying, nope, that door is now closed. Alabama, West Florida referred to the Judicial Council to ask them to make a pronouncement on how paragraph 2549 can be used. But the door is generally closed. So providing resources for laity that feel trapped. And of course, you do have to clarify that they cannot be trapped in the buildings. You can't make them go to church. But when it looks like they're going to have to give up their buildings, all their assets to be where they need to be, then you don't want to do that unless you absolutely have to. So anyway, it's a helpful article with helpful links, and I'll post this later with the link to this article for the good of people who read it. So,